Tomorrow is World Wildlife Day. There's a book out now that could help you mark the day with the little ones in your home. It's called National Geographic Kids' Wild Vet Adventures, Saving Animals Around the World with Dr. Gabby Wild. And Dr. Wild is joining us today to share some of her adventures. I have to tell you, this book is spectacular. I mean, I have it right here. The pictures inside are wonderful, but more importantly, the little stories that you tell are so educational. How long did it take you to put this all together?
Thank you so much, Leslie, for all the compliments. I would say this was, in honesty, a lifetime of work. The actual book-making process probably took about, let's say, maybe even 2 years, but all of these stories and these experiences come from my life of work. So I'm so glad you're enjoying them.
Well, I know the idea is to really inspire people to love nature, to love the creatures, and you really traveled the globe. Can you tell us in a short way about some of those adventures and really the most endangered creatures? Because I was so shocked at the number of animals that are really in jeopardy.
Absolutely. So the number of animals in jeopardy to start with is extraordinarily scary. Approximately 26% of all mammals, 25% of all amphibians at risk of extinction, and an eighth of all birds. I mean, these are scary, scary numbers, and that's why scientists like myself describe this as the sixth mass extinction. Some of the rarest creatures that I've had the honor of working with include some like my favorite, like we call the hairy rhino or the Sumatran rhino. They're just such treasures to work with, and it's just been an honor to have the opportunity to touch some of these creatures. And I warn people that if we don't change the way we're acting toward our environment, not only is it going to affect us, but all of these animals are going to become myth. And I'm here to prevent that from happening.
And in doing that, I know you did what? Acupuncture on an elephant, dentistry on a jaguar. Tell me about some of those really sort of dicey experiences.
Well, the acupuncture, honestly, my elephant patients, when I do it, they're phenomenal. The first thing I do with acupuncture is I use a point, or actually sometimes a few points that are called permission points. So once I place these little needles on them, they actually immediately calm down. And it's really cool when you have people who've never done acupuncture or seen it before. You see them all go, wow, they're relaxing. And I'm like, yeah, it's exactly the goal. So those are the first points that we do. They're obviously, domesticated, if you will, elephants that I worked on. These haven't been wild elephants that I've done acupuncture on. So they're used to people. They're used to coming into their stall and standing for these kinds of examinations. And then in regards to the jaguar, that's quite the story. So if you buy the book or have an opportunity to read it, you can get more of the details. But essentially, welcome to working in the wild, where sometimes hope for the best but expect the worst. And in this case, there was a rainstorm, the electricity went out. Luckily, we planned to have 2 generators to keep the animal under anesthesia. One went out, then a few moments later, the second one went out, and I'm like, oh, great. So my gas anesthetic isn't going to work, and my injectable is going to get out pretty soon. So let's just finish up this little procedure because my hand is in a jaguar's mouth, and it was pretty exciting. So that's my life. It's exciting.
The way you describe it, you keep your cool in such amazing situations. You know, most of us are used to dealing with our vet, and it's dogs and cats. But for you, it's 80 different types, right? Anything from pandas to tarantulas, where we would say, oh gosh, that makes our skin crawl.
Yeah, absolutely. I love all the weird, unusual things. And what's so cool about it is sometimes we'll work on a species that we have never worked on before. So we have to think a little bit outside of the box and say, okay, so which species have I worked with that's similar? And therefore apply that medicine. And then hopefully in the future we can, have funding to be able to do more studies. Of course, if they're quite endangered, we're limited on the studies that we can perform.
What would you say is the most unusual patient you'd ever worked on?
Oh, Most unusual. I get asked this, and yet I'm always like, I don't know. But I think axolotls are just so weird. I love salamanders. I mean, they regenerate their own limbs. So I find them particularly unusual. But when we talk about tarantulas, I mean, their bone is chitin. They don't really have bone. They have chitin, and that's their exoskeleton. So they don't have a bone inside. So it's kind of interesting when you're working with them. Speaking of no bones, octopuses. I mean, those are incredible to work with. Everyone is so different, and each one inspires us in a different way. We've taken adaptations from these animals to create our own inventions. So like the butterfly wing inspired us to create Velcro, for example. So they're all just very special.
I never knew that. And see, those are the little pearls of wisdom that are in the book that I find so fun. Do you find that animals have personalities or maybe quirks? Like, I know those of us that have pets, you know your dogs, right? And you know the way that they operate, or you know your cats. But what about the other animals? I mean, do you find specific personality types in different species?
Absolutely, absolutely. So for example, I'll work on one elephant and very sweet, easygoing, trusting, and then you'll get that curmudgeon one where it's going to slap you with its trunk, and you just have to be really careful. At one zoo, a horrible thing to sometimes, make these animals a little bit anthropomorphized, but for this sake, at this one zoo, we would have good penguin and bad penguin. And yes, sometimes they would be really good. They would share their fish, or they would allow another penguin to go into the pool first. Whereas the other penguin, who was being a bad penguin, would have that little curmudgeon, mischievous attitude where you stole someone's fish. So they really do have personalities, just like your own dogs and cats. Absolutely.
It's fascinating that you get to learn them all, and now we get to share in that adventure. Thank you so much, Dr. Wild.
Of course.
If you want more information, you can check out Facebook, Instagram, or GabbyWild.org. We'll also have a link on our webpage. It really is fun. WGNTV.com/midday.
Thank you.